Hello children, today we are going to start a new unit, that is ecology. So what is ecology? Ecology is a branch of biology which deals with interaction of living organism with its surroundings. In this unit, the first chapter is organism and population. So in this chapter, we have to understand the level of organization. In various chapters like cell or tissue, we have studied about the level of organization. We will say once again what is the level of organization. You see, the lowest level of organization is cell. Cell aggregates to form tissues. Tissues combines together to form organ. Many organ which perform same functions are kept under organ system. So many organ systems forms a organism. Many organism which comes under the same species is known as the population. So many population makes the community. When this community interact with abiotic factors forms the ecosystem. The large ecosystem is known as biomes and many biomes forms the biosphere. Now children, you see here from cell, cell is said to be the lowest or the lowest level of organization. From cell to organism, we call it as a lower level of organization. Here from organism to biosphere is to be the higher level of organization. In this unit, we have to study the higher level of organization. So our chapter is organism and population. So here we are going to study how this organism interact with the abiotic factors. Now we will study what are the abiotic factors. Now we will see abiotic factor. The first abiotic factor is temperature. Temperature is an important abiotic factor. It affects the organism in various ways. The metabolism of the organism, that is the metabolism which is taking place inside the organism, and we can say the metabolism in each and every cells are governed by enzymes. So these enzymes will work at optimum temperature. So now a question comes, in which temperature or in which climatic condition the living organisms are found? Actually, the living organisms are found in sub-zero to 50 plus degrees Celsius. Okay. Now, sub-zero means polar region, 50 plus degrees Celsius means that is the desert. Okay. So we can see organisms in the polar region as well as in the desert. Okay. So this is a general range in the temperature, but there are certain organisms which are found in 100 degrees Celsius also, that is like in deep sea hydrothermal vents. Okay. So bacteria like archaebacteria particularly found in that regions. They are having a special type of protein. Okay. That protein can able to withstand this high temperature. This type of protein is called thermostable proteins. This protein acts as an enzymes. Okay. When you consider other extreme in the polar region, okay, there also you can see the organisms. In that organisms, they too have a special type of proteins. They are said to be antifreeze protein. This antifreeze protein act on enzymes. So that is why living organisms are found in both the extreme. Okay. Now there are certain animals that can tolerate a wide range of temperature, like human beings and the living organisms which is found around us like plants and animals. They can tolerate a wide range of temperature. We can live in the polar region and we can also live in the desert. But there are certain organisms they can tolerate a narrow range of temperature. Okay. So, we can see here the organisms which can tolerate a wide range of temperature like human beings and other organisms, that organisms are said to be eurythermals. But there are certain organisms, they can tolerate a narrow range of temperature. Okay. That type of organisms are known as stenothermal organisms. The stenothermal organisms, examples of the stenothermal organisms are corals, some insects, a few that is reptiles comes under this stenothermal organisms. Okay. Now, next factor is water. Water is very essential for every living organism. Okay. Without water, metabolism will not take place. The enzyme's activity requires water. Moreover, transport of nutrients takes place inside the living organism by means of water. So, water is very essential for every living organisms, and moreover the waste material which is secreted, that is removed out of the body with the help of water. Okay. Now, we can see the water is having salinity. What do you mean by salinity? Salinity means the concentration of salt. So, on the basis of that, we can divide the water into inland water, we call it as a fresh water, and sea water, which is said to be the marine water. So, inland water is having 5% salinity, and sea water or marine water is having 30 to 35% salinity. Okay. You can see living organism in the inland water or fresh water, and as well as in the sea water. But there are certain organisms are found in hypersaline lagoons. What do you mean by that? That means in this water 100% salinity is there, 100% salinity. Here bacteria are found. Okay. The bacteria can survive in this hypersaline lagoons. Next is again the same terms came, like we have studied here, euryhaline. Here euryhaline, haline means salinity. So, there are certain animals or organisms, they can tolerate a wide range of salinity. They are said to be euryhaline. But there are certain organisms, they can tolerate a narrow range of salinity, that are known as stenohalines. So, when we take the examples of stenohalines, we will see the freshwater fishes. Freshwater fishes can survive in 5 to 6% salinity. Beyond that, they can't survive. Okay. Similarly, marine water or sea water fishes, they can survive in this narrow range, that is 30 to 35% of salinity. Below this, they can't survive. Okay. So, these are said to be narrow range. So, that organisms comes under stenohalines. But there are certain organisms like lamprey, which comes under class Cyclostomata. We have studied in class 11th. So, in that type of organism, they move from marine water to fresh water for laying egg. That is from 30 to 35% salinity to 5 to 6% salinity for laying egg, and they again come back to this marine water. So, they are having, they can tolerate a wide range of temperature. So, they are said to be euryhaline. Is it clear, children? Now, next we will talk about light. Light is an important factor, or we can say the source of light in this biosphere is sunlight. Sunlight energy can be trapped by plant by a process of photosynthesis. This light energy is converted into chemical energy, and that chemical energy is taken by the consumers like animals. Okay. So, directly and indirectly all the living organisms of this biosphere depend on the source of sunlight, that is sunlight. Okay. Now, next is photoperiodism. What is photoperiodism? That is the duration of light. Duration of light plays a very important role in flowering of plants. In class 11th, if you remember children, we have studied about long day plant, short day plant, day neutral plants. That means they require a long duration of light for flowering, a short duration of light for flowering. Some plants, they do not depend on duration of light for flowering. So, duration of light also plays a very important role in flowering. In birds we can see, like in poultries, the duration of light plays an important role in laying eggs. The quantity and the quality of the egg depend upon the duration of light. Now, next we will talk about diurnal. Diurnal means the organism, that is, there are certain organisms, they are very active in daylight. Some are said to be nocturnal, they are very active in night. Okay. So, this is about the light. Next, abiotic factor is soil. Soil is very important for plants, and they take water and mineral from the soil. Soil consists of water, and plant can absorb only the capillary water present in the soil. Soil is having air. Air is also required for the growth of the plant. Now, we will see the particle size. Soil is having a wide range of particles. When we start from the lowest, smallest particle, that is the slit. After that clay, and after that comes fine sand, coarse sand, and then comes the gravels. On the basis of the size of the soil particles, the water holding capacity and the air space depends. Okay. Now, if you take slit soil or clay soil, they are having more water holding capacity, but the air space is very less. When we take sandy soil, they are having less water holding capacity, but they are having a more air space. For the better growth of a plant, the mixture of both clay soil and sandy soil is essential. Right, children? Now, next is pH. pH plays a very important role here. For the better growth of the plant, 5.5 to 6.5 pH is very essential. That means it is slightly, the soil should be slightly acidic. In a slightly acidic soil, plant grows in a better way. Next is minerals. Along with water, plant absorbs minerals. From where the minerals are found in the soil? Here, minerals are formed by these two processes, that is pedogenesis and humification. What is pedogenesis? Pedogenesis means weathering of rocks. Weathering of rocks takes place by these three factors, that is physical, chemical and biological factor. What is physical factor? Physical factor means like strong heat, extreme heat and extreme cold temperature. So, what happens? There is a contraction and expansion of rock takes place that splits the rock and that causes withering of rocks. Next is chemicals, acid rains, some other chemicals can wither the rocks. Next is biological factor. The biological factor is like growing of lichens on the surface of this rock. This lichen secretes certain chemicals that helps in mineralization. And humification, the organic component which is present in the soil is decomposed by the bacteria. During the process of decomposition, what happens? Minerals are released into the soil. So, this increases the mineral concentration in the soil. Right, children? Now, we have studied the 4 factors of abiotic factors. Now children, we will study responses to abiotic factors. In this topic, we have to study how the animals or organisms adjust with various abiotic factors. In order to understand this topic, we have to study certain terms. First is regulate and second is conform. So, what do you mean by regulate? There are certain organisms, they can maintain a constant condition. A constant condition, that means condition means it may be a temperature or osmolarity. Okay. So, they can able to maintain its constant condition of the body. They never changes according to the external environment. They are said to be regulate. And conform means they are unable to maintain a constant condition. Okay. They adjust or they change or according to the external environmental condition. Okay, they are said to be the conform. Let us try to understand with the help of these 2 factors, that is temperature. So, here the factor is temperature. Here what happen in regulates in the organisms which undergo regulation, that is we call it as a regulators. This organism, they maintain its constant temperature. They can able to maintain a constant temperature. That organisms are known as thermoregulators. They are not adjusted with the external environment. Whatever may be the environment, they maintain a constant temperature. That type of organisms are known as thermoregulators. But it is not in the case of conformers. They can't maintain a constant temperature. Suppose if the temperature of the surrounding increases or if there is a higher temperature, what happens? This conformer increases its body temperature in order to adjust with the external environment. Suppose there is a low temperature, what happens? This conformer decreases its temperature. So, what you have learned here, that the conformer adjusts with the external environment, but it is not in the case of thermoregulators. They maintain a constant temperature. Here they can't maintain a constant temperature, they adjust with the external environment. Examples of thermoregulators are birds and mammals. They can able to maintain a constant temperature. Now you see here, during summer what happen? Our body sweats. Why? In order to reduce the temperature. Okay. So, it is regulating our body. During winter what happen? Shivering takes place. What is the role of this shivering? Shivering releases energy. So, that maintain or keep up a constant temperature. So, the regulators maintains a constant temperature, but conformer is unable to maintain a constant temperature, they adjust with the surroundings. When we see another factor, that is osmolarity. What is osmolarity? That is the ionic and water concentration present inside the body. Now we will see molarity. Here again osmoregulators, there are some organisms, they can maintain its body ionic concentration. Okay. They are not adjust with the environmental condition. Okay. So, they can able to maintain a constant ionic concentration, but it is not in the case of osmoconformers. Osmoconformers, they adjust with the environmental condition. Let us see with an example. Suppose examples of osmoconformers are fishes, aquatic organism. Like we have studied, there is water, maybe a fresh water and sea water are there. Now, fresh water is having 5% salinity and sea water is having 30 to 35% salinity. Suppose a fish is having its ionic concentration 15%. So, what happened to the conformers? Actually, how they adjust with the environment? The ionic concentration inside the fish is 15%. So, what happened? The ion passively diffuses out. There is a passive diffusion, passive diffusion takes place. That is, iron from the from inside the body diffuses passively into the fresh water and try to reduce the ionic concentration of this fish up to 6%. That means it brings down the ionic concentration up to 6%. Okay. So, in this way they conform, they adjust with the surrounding. But in the case of sea water, suppose the same fishes are having 50%, take an example as 15% ionic concentration. So, what happened here, the concentration of iron is more. So, what happened, the passive diffusion, intake of iron takes place. So, that is passively this iron is diffuses inside the fish and they brings the iron concentration near about 29%. So, in this way they conform, they adjust with the surrounding, but it is not in the case of regulators. So, we will see the graph here. In this direction we have written it as an external level and this is the internal level. As the external level increases, as suppose we are taking temperature increases or osmolarity increases, and what is the condition of the regulators, internal level of the regulators? It is maintained, it is constant, it is remain in a constant condition. But in the case of conformer, as the external factor increases, the conformers also adjust with the external factor. So, this is the conformers which adjust with the external factor. So, these are the responses of organism to this abiotic factor like regulate and conform. We will see two more factors like migrate and suspend. The next response of abiotic factor is migrate. Here we can see in birds, they temporary to and fro movement. What do you mean by temporary to and fro movement? Actually, when during the unfavorable climatic condition, birds move from its original place to a place where there is a suitable environmental condition. Again, they come back to their original place when the climatic condition become favorable. So, that is why it is said to be a temporary to and fro movement. Okay. Temporarily they moves out of that original place to a new place when they return back to the same place when the climatic condition become favorable. This you can see in birds like falcon, Siberian cranes. We have to talk about a national park, Colorado National Park. It is a new name for Bharatpur Bird Sanctuary. Here this sanctuary receives many birds every year. Okay. So, after that they return to their original place. So, in order to adjust the unfavorable climatic condition, they migrate from one place to the other. Another one is suspend. What is suspend? That means the metabolic activity of the organism is suspended for a particular period. Okay. That is, they can be divided into three, that is hibernation. What do you mean by hibernation? That is known as winter sleep. You can see hibernation in polar bear. So, what happened, this polar bear, they used to consume more food and this go for sleep for 2 or 3 months in the severe winter climatic condition. Okay. During that period, what happened, their metabolic activity get reduced, slow down. Okay. So, that is known as hibernation. Next is called estivation. Estivation means summer sleep. Again the same, similarly that of the hibernation. Here, in order to avoid the summer hot, severe hot, the organisms suspend or go sleep. The summer sleep is known as the estivation, they go for a sleep. Okay. So, during that period what happened, their metabolic activity get reduced. Now, next is diapause. Diapause you can see in zooplanktons. They suspend their growth or their development in order to avoid unfavorable climatic condition, and they forms a cyst-like structure during the unfavorable climatic condition, and they again germinate or again develops when the climatic condition become favorable. So, see children, we have studied responses to abiotic factor, how the organisms responds to this various abiotic factor. We have studied conformer, regulators and migrates and suspend. In this way they are adjusting with the abiotic factor. Now, we have studied the abiotic factors like water, temperature, light, soil. This abiotic factor is very essential for the survival of the living organism. So, we call it as a biotic component. So, there is an interaction between biotic and abiotic factor. So, this organisms responds according to the various environmental condition by developing, acting as a regulator, some acting as a conformer, some migrate and some suspend. In the next class, we will study how these organisms adopt the various climatic condition, how they change physically to adopt the adverse climatic condition. Hope you might have understood this topic nicely. Thank you.